um, as people of God, we know that God owns everything, and because He owns everything, everything that we think that we own, everything that's within our possession and in our custody, is really on loaner to us, because we know that we came into this life with nothing, naked, and when we depart from this life, we are going to depart with nothing. Also, we don't get to take anything out of this life, and so that means that whatever we have and we own and comes into our possession, really God is trusting it to us or entrusting us with it, which means that there is an expectation that we will steward well the resources that we've been given custody over. And so I titled the message from last week, the lesson from last week, how we steward what we've been entrusted with. Okay. And so what that means is that we have to give me a thumbs up if you're hearing me, because this thing is going mute and off mute. You're not hearing me. Okay, hold on a second. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Okay, good. So one second while I let me try to stay in the flow. Let me stay in the flow. Okay, this devil is a liar this morning. All right, so here's the thing. So what I talked about last week was about the fact that the Lord has expectations around how we handle that which we've been given, and everything that we have and we own really is even though we may have worked to get it and spend our money to get it, really everything that we have is really God's. The earth is the Lord and the full ground. And so I talked to you about expectations around the fact that God has expectations, and whether you have a lot or whether you have a little, the expectation is still very much the same. Are you all not hearing me? Can you hear me well? How about now? Can you hear me better? Okay. Um, okay. So I was gonna not use the headset, and now I'm saying being told to use it. So anyway, so guys, make sure that if because I can't see you and hear you, if you're not hearing me or it goes funky, definitely put a message in the chat. Anyway, I was just recapping. I was just recapping the lesson that I taught last time. Hold on a second here. Are we recording? I need to record this.
Yes, I'm recording.
Okay, are you recording to your computer or to the cloud?
To the cloud.
Okay, good. Okay, so welcome Tracy and the rest of you all. So I was recapping the fact that last week we talked about expectations, and that God has expectations that we are going to uh, that we're going to be faithful over what He's given to us to manage. And as we manage our resources faithfully, then He entrusts us with more. So what we have right now is really also a reflection of our current ability. And if we want more, it means that we're going to have to increase our capacity. But it's very, very important to understand that no matter where we start from, whether you got a whole lot or whether you're struggling right now, paycheck to paycheck, whether you feel like every month you're going a little bit further down, it's important to understand that God has an expectation that we will still manage what we have for an increase, right? And so that was why I entitled the message last week, Managing Expectations. Now, today's lesson is all about mindset, because in all the years that I've been coaching people as it relates to their finances and helping people try to win with money, the one thing I know is true is that unless we get rid of the stinking thinking, we're not going to make any progress in our lives. That's why the graphic on the screen says same old thinking, same old results. And if you're tired of getting the same old results, just put that in the chat for me. Say, I'm tired, I'm tired, I'm tired. Write it in the chat right now, because you know I need y'all to talk to me, even though you can't really talk to me for the purposes of this lesson, but you can light up the chat for me. So let me know if you're tired of the same old results. So it's important to recognize that our results, our current results, are a reflection of our best thinking to date. It's our best thinking. You know, when most of us don't recognize that we are made in God's image, and the God of the universe is the creator of the universe. And so if we are made in his image, then by default, that must mean that we must have some ability to create, or at least to co-create with God. The problem for many of us is that what we tend to do is that we tend to just recreate the same life day after day after day. And the reason that we do that is because our thinking doesn't change. Everything is created twice. First, it's created in thought, and then it gets transferred into physical form. There is nothing that you see, nothing that is made, nothing that is created that didn't first start as an idea in the mind of someone. And so it stands to reason that if we want different results, that we have to change our thinking. Now, when it comes to this idea of having a wealth mindset, now remember, my friends, this is a life class, and everything that I talk about and share with you has a bigger and broader application for your life in general. We angle it through the lens of finances, because in the Kingdom Finance class at New Beginnings Church, we're teaching biblical principles for money management. So when it comes to a wealth mindset, it is important that you understand that we have to be mentally alert and actively engaged when it comes to managing our money. It requires a level of mental alertness and diligence, that we're not passive. We are not sitting in the spectator seat of our financial life. We're not here to just watch what is happening. We are here to be on the court playing full out. And so many times what I find is people have just sort of given up, and they're just kind of going through the motions. Listen, most people are just living their life. They are not leading their life. And what I want for you all is for you to take the bull by the horns and take control, take dominion over your finances and rule it well, which means that it starts in your mindset, and that means that you must be paying attention, right? And so one of the things that I want to just sort of, this is kind of where we're going to hang out today. Everything is, your results have everything to do with your level of awareness, because you cannot fix a problem until you first become aware of it, and you cannot see the picture when you are inside the frame. And so if you want different results, it means that there has to be a corresponding shift in your level of awareness. Remember, this is a mindset lesson, okay? This is all about mindset. Now, I like to think of awareness in several phases, right? I think it begins with an awareness of your past experiences, and then that moves into an awareness of your current reality, your present situation. And then from there, then we start to cast vision for the future. Where do you want to go? What is your desired destination? And once you are aware of that desired future that you want to live into, then it comes back to, what choices are you making in the here and now that will lead you to the tomorrow that you're looking for? Now, one of the things that many people make a mistake on, they think that when they make choices, it is the same as action. Listen, you can make a decision and not back it with action. Matter of fact, I remember one of my mentors shared with me a story about the great motivational speaker, Les Brown. And he said to me, he said, Damien, Les Brown decided that he wanted to become a motivational speaker. He made the choice that he was going to become a motivational speaker. And then you know what? He slept on his brother's couch for 14 years. For 14 years. Now you think about that, and any of you that know Les Brown have heard Les Brown. If you've never heard Les Brown speak, let me tell you, when we're done today, Google the name Les Brown and just listen. The man is an amazing motivational speaker. You could argue that he's one of the best in the world. But he slept on his brother's couch after making the decision for 14 years because he thought, why would anybody want to hear from me? I'm a high school dropout. I'm not qualified. I don't have any education. I've made lots of mistakes. I'm, broke, busted, and disgusted. Why would anybody want to hear from me? And so many times when we look at our life, we make choices that, you know what, I don't want to be stuck. I don't want to be living less than my privilege. You do know that you are the king's kid, right? You do know that your birthright is dominion over all things. Matter of fact, just go back and read Genesis and the creation account. Because what the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit said is that, look, let us create man in our own image and let them have dominion over the earth. So dominion is our birthright as human beings, as children of God. We should be taking dominion and we should be exercising dominion in all aspects of our life, right? Now we're talking about finances, so I want to sort of keep it narrow. But here's what I'm telling you is that you can make a choice to do something, and then you let the voices of doubt and discouragement and guilt and shame and voices from your past mess ups limit you and stop you from taking the action that you need to take. Listen, your life only changes in response to the actions that you're willing to take. So it begins with thinking and elevating your level of awareness. New thinking can lead to new choices. New choices can lead to new results if you will take action. And then from there, the next level of awareness is that you've got to become aware of your habits, because so much of what we do is on autopilot. Think about it this way, right? You remember when you first were learning to drive? I can still think of those times when I was learning to drive, because I remember when I was learning to drive, I had to have my hands on the steering wheel right here, and it made me nervous just to turn around, right? And I was sweating inside my shirt, and it took effort and energy to look at the rear view mirror and to check the side mirrors and to glance over my shoulder. Now, when I'm driving, listen, I can drive, I can be playing music. Some of you women drive and put on makeup in your car on the way to wherever it is that you're going, right? I can have a conversation, I can be eating a sandwich. Listen, certain things, after you've been doing it over and over and over and over, they become a function of your subconscious mind. It doesn't require conscious processing at this level, right? That's what happens with habits, is that they become subconscious and we just kind of operate on autopilot. If even right now, if you think about the way that you got dressed this morning, did you put your right foot well, I don't know if you're wearing pants or not, but however you put on whatever you have on, I bet that it's the same way that you put it on every single time. So whether that means that for me, when I'm putting on my pants, I tend to put my left foot in and then I put my right foot in. If I try to do it the other way around, it just doesn't feel right. Why? Because it's a habit. And so those are the 6 levels of awareness that I want to talk to you about today, because I want you to be aware of these things so that you can begin to make some adjustments. So number 1, let's talk about past experience, right? Proverbs 26:11 says that like a dog returns to his vomit is a fool who repeats his folly, right? It means that we have the tendency to repeat the mistakes of the past, to repeat the bad choices, right? And when you read scripture, you kind of see that it sort of is a repetitive sort of journey where God loves his people, he takes care of them, they walk in disobedience, they face the consequences. Many times that results in some sort of captivity or some sort of bondage. They repent, change their ways, come back to God, God rescues them, and then the cycle repeats itself, right? So what I'm trying to share with you is that we all need to have an awareness of our past experiences, right? Here is why that's important. Because our past experiences many times can lead us to creating negative inner vows. Inner vows. Make sure you're paying attention to what I'm saying to you. Remember, I'm speaking about mindset, okay? Inner vows are declarations or promises that we make to ourselves about ourselves, right? it is a determination in the mind and the heart, really, to protect us from pain, right? It's a promise that we make to ourselves, and it often involves the words, like the use of the words like always and never, right? And this is important because you cannot change what you don't recognize. You know, I remember years ago, a friend of mine that used to come to our church. She shared with me that when she grew up poor. And because she grew up poor and there were many children in her family, she always had to wear the hand-me-downs, right? Now we all know about hand-me-downs. You know, I've got two little girls. The second one is getting the hand-me-downs from the first one. It's just the economically smart thing to do, right? But what she was sharing with me was that um, she had this habit of every time she got paid, she would go to the mall and she would buy a new outfit. And the reason that she did that is because when she was young, because of the shame and the embarrassment of wearing the same clothes over and over and over to school, being picked on and being mocked by other students, she decided that she made this inner vow that when she grew up, she would always have new clothes whenever she got money. Notice the use of the word always. So she made an inner vow, said, I will always have new clothes. And despite where she was financially, and despite the fact that she couldn't afford it, she found herself every time she got paid going to the mall to buy something that she really couldn't afford to be buying. But it was because of those inner vows. Now here's the thing. When we make inner vows, many times we make them years in the past, right? And so there's sometimes they're difficult to remember that we even made those vows to begin with. And it does take a degree of soul searching to find it. And a lot of times you don't get to see the inner vows until there's a trigger event. Something happens that jars that back to the forefront of your memory, right? And the power of these inner vows is that it is like we put a contract on our lives, but subconsciously, what it does is that it impacts our thought processes, and anything that impacts our thought and anything that drives our thinking is going to ultimately manifest itself in behavior patterns, right? So what happens is many times with these inner vows is that we can become hostages to our past because it's generally triggered by some emotional event in the past. And even though we might be living in completely different circumstances right now, completely different situation, we still are linked to the past because of these vows that we've made. So I want you to think about that for a second, because I know that this is a finance lesson. You're probably saying to yourself, I showed up to learn about how to get my finances right. What does this got to do with it? What I'm trying to share with you is that until you get your mindset right, it's going to be hard to break the patterns. You have to become aware of them first. Remember, awareness is everything. And I'm talking to you about awareness of your past experiences. Now, why is this important? Inner vows are important because what you say matters, particularly and especially what you say to yourself. Your self-talk is incredibly important. It's either going to help you to rise or it's going to keep you down like an anchor will. Proverbs 18:21 says that death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruit, right? Death and life and death are in the power of the tongue. Do you think that that just means words that you speak externally to others? You think the words that you speak to yourself don't matter? It matters most because you talk to yourself more than anybody else talks to you, whether you realize it or not. Our self-talk is always playing in the background of our mind, right? And so what inner vows have you made in the past? Remember, in Matthew chapter 12, verse 37, Jesus says that by your words you will be justified, and by your words you will be condemned. Are you condemning yourself because you've made some promises, you've made some declarations way back when your situation was different, about what you would never do again and what you would always do? And now you are bound, you're having these repetitive behavior patterns that you don't even understand why you're doing some of the things that you're doing. Sometimes what we have to do is take a step back and take inventory about what our experience with money has been. Where do we pick up our beliefs about money? What kind of stinking thinking? What kind of messages did I gain from childhood? What was my experience? And how is that presencing itself in my life today? So I'm talking about having an awareness of your past experiences, right? Okay, now present situation. Once we've taken inventory and we've done the awareness check about our past, now we've got to come to the current reality, right? Proverbs 27 and 23 says that know well the condition of your flocks and pay attention to your herds. Now, interestingly enough, in this scripture, where it says the word condition, in the Hebrew, it uses the word face, right? So it says, know well the condition of your flocks, but what it really is referring to, this is like the analogy of a shepherd. Know the faces of your flock. Pay attention to your herd. Now, when we take this from a financial standpoint, have you really taken inventory of everything as it relates to your financial situation? Are you paying attention? Are you looking at it? Because I want to suggest to you that one of the most difficult things, particularly when you know you're in a bad place, is to just come to the place of facing the reality of, right? The reason that this is important is because we cannot change anything until we accept it. Because what happens is that because of fear, maybe you've made some mistake and you made some choices in your life that you know those weren't the best choices, or you found yourself in a situation that made you feel like you were forced to make certain choices. And so now you've got that judgment and that negative self-talk playing in the background of your mind. Remember, there is no condemnation to those who are in Christ Jesus, and condemnation does not liberate us, it oppresses us. But we've got to face the reality of where we are first. So what exactly does that mean? That means that we've got to take some time from a practical perspective. We have to take some time to take inventory. You have to find out what you own. You got to know that stuff. What do you own? What are your assets? What do you have in your name? And then number two, you got to find out how much you owe, right? Some of us owe money and we've got debts racking up and we don't even have any idea how much it is. And I'm suggesting to you that if you want to be able to move from where you are to a better place, it doesn't happen. It only happens really by you first starting from where you are. You know, whenever you go to a mall, you know, in any mall, now I know that we're in this period of social distancing, but you know, when you go to the mall and you want to figure out where the stores are, you look around and you look and see, well, let me find the directory. And when you go to the directory, the first thing that you do, you might know where you want to go, but knowing where you want to go really can't help you unless you first know where you are. So what do? You look at the directory for that little emblem that says you are here. And so what I'm asking you to do, my friends, today is to take some time to take inventory of where you are today. Where are you today? Because you can only go to there from here, but where is here for you? And in order for you to really understand where here is for you and for you really to take inventory, it's going to mean, here it comes, wait for it, wait for it. You got to track where your money is going. Yeah. You got to track where your money is going. You got to know where your every dollar. And I'm not just talking about knowing in theory. I'm talking about knowing where every penny is going, right? So what does that look like? That looks like you taking time to record what you do with the money that passes through your hands on a day-to-day basis, right? The reason that you want to do that is because the analysis that you're going to do, when you look at where the money is going, you're going to get some really valuable information about where you are. So here are some practical things that you can do to take inventory. Review your paycheck. I remember one time I did a review with I met with a gentleman. He asked me to help him kind of get his money in order because he was just barely making it from paycheck to paycheck. And I asked him to bring his paychecks. And when we brought his paychecks, and we started going through it, I started seeing some things that didn't really make sense to me. I started seeing this one account here, and it was like an other item, and it was a draft. It was, I think it was probably about $70. Every pay period was coming out of his check. I was like, "What is this?" And he couldn't tell me what it was. And when he went back to work, called HR to figure out what that draft was. It was a big screen TV that he bought through payroll deduction through his job. I didn't even know companies did stuff like that. So he had been paying for a TV and it was just been auto drafting this whole time. And when he checked it out, he had paid for the TV 2 years previously, but it was just kind of set something he did and it was auto draft. So you want to look at your paychecks, right? See if there's some things that are coming out of there that maybe shouldn't. You want to review your bills and your credit card statements, right? You want to know what am I being charged for? You want to hang on to your receipts, right? So because a lot of times what we'll do is we'll spend cash. We keep a little bit of cash in our pocketbook and in our wallets, and we go spend that cash. I have no idea where that money went or what we spent it on because you cannot track cash that easily. So you want to make sure that you're saving your receipts from stores, gas stations, restaurants, and the vending machine. Make sure that you're hanging on to your receipts and that you're looking at that. One of the things also that is really important for you to start looking at is recurring expenses like subscriptions. Okay. Have you all noticed, and if you've noticed this, I want you to put this in the chat. Just type I noticed. Have you noticed that more and more and more merchants and service providers are moving to a subscription model? Have you noticed that? You remember there was a time where you could go into, Best Buy and you could buy the Microsoft Office suite? Remember that there used to be a time like that? And now when you look at it, what you find is that Microsoft now does a subscription model, right? Because when you do when they're by them setting it up as a subscription, what that means is that they can charge you automatically before you even have the ability to make a decision around whether you want it. Because most of us are, when we get a subscription, we are actually not taking note of the actual dates when the subscription is supposed to renew. So guess what? It just renews automatically. Most gym memberships operate on some kind of a subscription basis. So they're just auto charging you. So be mindful and be looking out for those things that are set up as automatic charges. Some of it could be magazines. There are all kinds of things, but there's so many things right now that are moving to a subscription basis because they want to be able to charge you on a recurring basis. And by the time you look up and you realize you don't even want it anymore, they've already charged you for it. And now you've paid for a whole the next month or the next year, and you don't even want it. So make sure you're looking for recurring expenses as you are taking inventory. So the thing that you have to keep in mind is that this is about raising your level of awareness about your present situation. So the more actual expenses you can pinpoint, the more you'll be able to know about your spending habits when you're through. And my friends, here's what I'm going to tell you. If you are not careful, you will listen to me teach this lesson, and then you will go back to your day-to-day, go back to your typical norms, and never take action on this. Listen, you cannot manage what you do not measure. I'm telling you that fundamentally, if you want to see an increase in your income and an increase in your ability to have more, then it begins with you knowing where your money is going. And you can't know where your money is going if you do not have the courage and the persistence to track your spending. I'm slowing down my rate of speech right now because I'm speaking to your heart. It is going to take courage. It is going to take persistence. But if you will do this, I promise you that you will come away with information that will empower you to be a causative force in your life. What we want to be doing in our life is that we want to be the cause of our effects. We don't want to allow life to happen to us. We want to take dominion over all things and dominion over our finances, which means that you have to have the courage to face the reality. I don't want you to be like an ostrich, which what does an ostrich do when it faces danger? It puts its head in the sand. Listen, there is more in you than for you to live like that. You are better than your results have shown. And if you will take the courage to look at where you are, I promise you, you're going to start to see some things and you'll be operating from a higher level of awareness that will allow you to begin to mount and advance forward. So remember, let's sort of recap. We talked about awareness of your past experiences and those negative inner vows that we may have made, or those messages that we got from our family, around money that might be driving our behavior right now. Most of us didn't actually learn about money, right? Most of us just kind of came up doing what we've seen done before us, right? And so the goal in this whole session is to raise your level of awareness, understand how your past might be impacting your current, how your past is impacting your thinking. And then from there, we want to take a look at where we are today. So having an awareness of our current situation, our present reality, which means that we've got to take inventory of what we own, what we owe, and our tracking and our spending patterns, which means that we have to track our spending. Now, as we move on, the next step in the idea of developing a wealth mindset is you having an awareness of your desired future, having a vision for the future. It's not enough just to look at the past, right? And then to know where we are right now. There's a reason why a car has a very big windshield and a very small rear view mirror. The reason that is because you should be focusing on where you are going. But if you don't have no vision, you're just going to end up anywhere. Listen, if you aim at nothing, you will hit it every single time. Remember, in Proverbs, it says that Proverbs 29:18, it says that where there is no vision, the people are unrestrained. But happy is he who keeps the law. In another translation, it says, where there is no vision, the people cast off restraints. Listen, if you don't have a vision for your future, how do you know what to say yes to? How do you decide what opportunities to say yes to? And how do you decide what to say no to? If you don't have some general direction, maybe even better than a specific direction that you're trying to get to. If you don't take control of your life, if you don't have a plan for your life, I guarantee you somebody else has a plan for your life, and you will fall prey to the dominant people in your life. If you don't have a direction that you're steering your life in, you are going to fall prey to the dominant people in your life, right? So we must have a vision, right? In Habakkuk, I love this portion of scripture. It says, then the Lord answered me and said, record the vision and inscribe it on tablets, that the one who reads it may run. For the vision is yet for an appointed time. It hastens towards the goal, and it will not fail. Though it tarries, wait for it. It will certainly come. It will not delay. Listen, in the King James Version, which I told you all before, when I even though we use the New American Standard, I still hear scripture in the King James Version. Write the vision and make it plain. The vision causes movement because it says the one who reads it may run. So if you will take the time to write a vision down, and then to be able to put it in writing where you can see it, as you read it, you begin to run. You're the first one that needs to be running towards your vision, right? If you can visualize it, it can happen. But if you don't visualize it, it will never happen. So what I would say is, give yourself the benefit of the doubt. Play to the benefit of the doubt, okay? So here's what you want to do. Pay attention here, folks. I really, really, really want to help you. And I hope this lesson is helping you. Matter of fact, because I can't see your faces right now, I'm just looking at my PowerPoint. If this is helping you, can you put a little something in the chat so I know that you're with me? I want to feel like I'm not out here by myself on a limb, but I'm all right being out here by myself on a limb. But what I'm trying to tell you is that you've got to have a vision statement. You have to have a vision for your life. I recommend that you have a vision in 5 areas. Must have a vision for your spiritual growth. You've got to have a vision for your personal development. You also need to have a vision for your physical health, a vision for your primary love relationships, and of course, a vision for your financial growth. Now, are y'all talking to me in the chat? All right. So Paris said just what I needed. Tamara said, yeah, hello, we need a vision. All right. So if y'all need to talk to me in this chat, I need to hear from you. I need to hear from you. So put something in the chat so I know you are with me. So I recommend having a vision for your entire life. Now remember, this is the finance class. So of course I am talking about financially as well. but your life doesn't move in just compartments, right? You can't listen there. We are spiritual beings living a physical experience. So I think that you've got to have a vision for your spiritual growth first and foremost, because we're not going to take any of the physical stuff with us. And you have to have a vision for your personal expansion. That's what I mean by personal development. When is the last time you did something for the first time? When was the last time you sat down and mapped out a plan for your personal growth and development? You think you can improve your results by staying where you are? It's not possible. If you're going to change your results and change your life, you are going to have to grow. Matter of fact, John Maxwell says that the only guarantee that tomorrow will be better than today is that we are growing today. That's the only guarantee that tomorrow can be better. We have to be growing, right? And then our physical health. Listen, you only get one temple. And to the extent that we don't take care of our body temple, it makes no difference whether we have wealth or not if we are sick. And when you look at this coronavirus right now, this time that we're living in, it is not a respecter of person. Physical health is a must. So listen, please, as you think of creating the vision for your life, your health is really, really important. And then because we are relational beings, we are created to be in relationship with others, right? And so you should have a vision for your primary love relationships, right? Whatever that looks like for you. So you may be single, so you may have a vision for having meaningful friendships right now, and still hoping maybe one day that your Boaz or that your Ruth comes along. Let me tell you, marriage is a wonderful thing. I'm so blessed. I have a wonderful wife. I just can't say enough about the good things that have happened in my life. She keeps me balanced and grounded. So anyway, so I recommend having a vision for what you want, how you want to grow in your relationships. Matter of fact, right now, my wife and I, we're doing a study with some friends of ours through the book His Needs, Her Needs, because we want to make sure that we are ministering to each other. So we're in community with other people that want to do the same. So you should have relationships because iron sharpens iron, and it's important to have those. But then, of course, you've got to have a vision for your financial growth, right? If you're not going to have a vision about that, then no, listen, nothing's going to happen in your life. You're going to keep recreating the past. So let's make sure that you take some time to create your vision statement. Now, here's what I want you to do. I want you to write down, let's just do it for the next 6 months, right? So this is April. Let's say between, no, let's say for the next 10 months. Between now and the end of the year, what would you love your life to look like in each of these areas? Remember, the Bible says, write the vision and make it plain, right? It didn't say do a vision board. Listen, I'm not against doing vision boards, and we've done vision boards in class, okay? But what I'm saying is that it needs to be written down. And I'm going to recommend that you do not type it out, that you get a pen, a physical pen and physical paper or a pad, and write it out, right? In the beginning was the Word, and then the Word moves into flesh. It moves into physical manifestation. So what I'm suggesting to you is that you take the time to actually do this exercise, to write it out. What would you love your life to look like in each of these areas over the next 10 months, right? And here's the thing. One of the reasons that it sometimes is hard to do this, if you've been knocked down a lot of times, if you've had a lot of setbacks financially in your life, sometimes your capacity to dream is diminished. Your capacity to use your imagination is limited because, and a lot of times it gets limited because you don't know how it can possibly happen to you. You know, all the times that you've tried and you've kind of gotten put back in, pushed back and knocked down. The times that you've made decisions and it turned out to be mistakes, it cost you time and maybe cost you a lot of money. What I want you to do is to give yourself permission, give yourself grace, as a matter of fact, to just dream without having any restriction on how you're going to bring it about. Just dream out loud, right? Dream out loud. Don't get caught up in whether it's right or it's wrong. Don't get caught up in any kind of grammar. There is no right and wrong. This is your vision. And guess what? You can change it over time. As your level of awareness increases, you will come back to your vision statement, because it's not meant to be what you write down is going to be a memorial and that's going to be what it is. It's not like the Constitution. Matter of fact, even the Constitution has amendments. So you can come back and amend your vision, but you got to have one. And I'm going to recommend that you have one in each of these 5 areas. Okay. So take the time today. Listen, the one thing you cannot tell me right now is that you don't have time. Some of us got so much time on our hands, we don't even know what to do with ourselves right now. Use the time. This time for some of us is a gift. Now, for those of us that are essential workers, and I know some of us in our Kingdom Finance community are, listen, we love you and we thank you for your service to the community during this difficult time and you putting yourself at risk. So I'm not insensitive to the fact that some of us are very, very busy. But I promise you, every success book I've read, every book about wealth, there is not a book that has to do with growth and expansion of a person's life that doesn't have something in it that speaks to them having a vision, right? And the Bible says that we're supposed to write our vision. So why don't you take some time to pray today, take some time to pray and write down your vision. Seek God. If you have trouble with this, then pray and say, God, give me the wisdom. Show me what you would want for me to have. Right? Show me what is really possible for me. And then just capture it, right? You're just capturing that in each of these 5 areas. Okay, let's move on. What time is it? 10:16. Okay. All right. So let's move on. All right. So obviously, because we're in the finance class, let's talk about the financial area, right? So when it comes to you writing the vision for your financial growth, I want you to think about, what does financial success mean to you, right? What does that look like? Does that mean that you have more time freedom? Does that mean that you have that you can take more vacation? Does it mean that you have enough money to be able to buy the things that you want?
Hearing me, let me know that you're hearing me. I think my headset just died. So type in the chat if you can still hear me. Are y'all hearing me? You all hear me? Can you hear me? Okay, good. Thank you, Andrea. Where are the rest of y'all at? There's a bunch of y'all on the line. Y'all can't use the chat function? All right, good. Thank you. Now I know that y'all are with me. I appreciate it. Okay, so what you want to do is you wanna write out what financial success means to you, because financial success means different things to different people. What is that? Okay, so financial success means different things to different people. So pay attention to focus on what it means to you, what you would love your life to look like, even over the course of the next 10 months. What could that potentially look like for you? And I want you to also think about, not just write out what it means to you, but I want you to go to that future. I want you to visualize that future, and when you see it, try to see it in your mind's eye as clearly as you can see it. And then I want you to pay attention to the feeling that you have when you accomplish it. If you were living that life where you have lived into whatever your definition of financial success is, if you have lived that out, what is the feeling that you would have, right? And I want you to anchor that feeling. I want you to remember how that feels. And then what I want you to do is I want you to write down the goals that you would have accomplished on your way to that life of financial freedom. So what are the mile markers? What are the landmarks along the way? The goals that you would have hit when you accomplish that. And then I want you to also go to the GBG, what we call the goal behind the goal, right? Because so often we say, we have certain goals, and it is important to have goals that are written and that are specific goals, by the way. But sometimes we don't take the time to think about what is more meaningful. If I were to achieve that goal, what would it allow me to be, do, or have that is actually more meaningful? So many of us, for example, let me make it practical. Many of us, for example, have a goal to get out of debt. But so the goal is to pay off debt. But what's really the more meaningful thing behind that? That's what I want you to think about. So what would paying off the debt allow you to do? Well, obviously it would allow you to be able to save money. It would allow you to be able to invest your money. It would give you peace of mind. You would not have that pressure and that anxiety. What is more meaningful than paying off the debt? So I want you to think about your goals, but then I want you to think about why you have that goal. What's the goal behind the goal? What's the motivating force for the goal, right? And then once you have all this sort of written out, your financial vision statement, I want you to put it somewhere where you can see it. Remember, in the scripture, it says, write the vision and make it plain so that the one who reads it will run to it. So I want you to post it somewhere where you can see it every day. So that may mean that you may have to post it multiple places, right? If you look behind me right now, I don't know if you can see my screen on there, right behind me, I have my 2020 vision and goals, and I've got a very specific financial goal there that my wife and I are working toward. But I see it every day because I spend time in my office. So I want you to put your goal, your vision statement, somewhere where you can see it. So that might be the fridge, it might be on your nightstand, it might be posted on your bathroom mirror. And not only do I want you to post it where you can see it, I want you to read it every day. And every day when you read it, I want you to emotionalize it. I want you to remember that feeling. Remember that when I told you just now, go to the future and envision what that life would look like and how you would feel. As you're reading that vision, I want you to remember the feeling. Anchor that vision with that feeling of accomplishment and hold on to it every single day. Yeah. All right. So let's recap again. Let's go back a second. So we have talked so far about awareness being everything. Same old thinking, same old results. So what we are trying to do in this lesson today is we are trying to raise our level of awareness. We have talked about past experiences, raising that level of awareness. Then we talked about becoming aware of your current situation and looking at where you are and taking inventory. We just talked about having awareness of a future desired destination, a vision for your life, a future plan, right? And writing it down. And I talked about the 5 areas, and now we looked at specifically in the financial area, some strategies for you to use there to create that financial vision, right? The next level of awareness is awareness of choice. Listen, of all the creatures on this earth, God has only given to man free will, which means that we have the power of choice. And so I love this quote by Carl Jung. He's a Swiss psychologist lived many years ago. Here it says, "I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become." And so I want you to walk in the awareness that you are every day making choices. And every single day you are making the decision, or you have the power to make decisions. You are never without the ability to make a choice. Even when you feel like you have no options, you always have an option because you can always make a choice. And the difference in our life and the difference in our results comes down to how we appropriate that gift of free will, how we utilize our ability to choose. Now, is your thinking and your choices in alignment with the vision that you have for yourself? That's why you have to have a vision. Because when you don't have a vision, you don't know what choices that you should make. You don't know what to say yes to, or you don't know what to say no to if you have no vision, do you? Think about it. When you have a vision for saving a certain amount of money or getting out of debt, and your girlfriends come to you and say, "Hey, let's go to dinner after church," and you know that it's going to be another probably $25, $30 you're going to spend by the time you put your tip in, but you got a bigger goal, that allows you to say, "No, I'm on a budget. I've got a plan for where I'm trying to go, and so I can't do that right now." If you don't have a vision, you don't make good choices. So it's really important that you don't skip over that step, that you actually take the time to write the vision and to make it plain. Remember that you're not competing with anybody else. This is your personal vision. because now that will help you with the choices that you have to make. And the choices that you make are the precursors to the action that you take. And by the way, action is the next level of awareness. Now, I'm not going to go into a lot of discussion about choices here. I think it's safe to say that just sit back and watch this for a moment, okay?
Take action when the time is right. The time is now. Because the number one linking inaction to excuses. Because it's guilty of singularly pacifying our unfulfilled desires and threaten our futures by giving a terrible gift. Permission. I'm not a manager because I'm not good with money. Because
I can't make ends meet because I haven't written my book because
if only you could take action when the time is right. The time is now. You can because you can choose to revise your because. I will become a manager because I want to do the work to earn it.
I will learn to steward my finances because my family deserves it. I will write my book because I want to extend my influence.
The word because is an acknowledgement of the internal link between cause and effect. The application of the word is the power to link your actions, the cause of your own business, to a natural outcome, an outcome you choose. When we link our futures, the effects we wish for our lives, to causes outside of our control, we lose control of the power of because.
Because of what my father did, I can't. Because my mom was not there, I can't.
Because of my bankruptcy, I can't.
Because of my race, I can't.
Change your vocabulary. Unhitch your because from excuses and align your because to your values. The barriers between you and your vision for the future are as concrete as the negative because that you firmly believe. It is time to see now by believing this simple phrase: I will because I have the will. What will you place after your because?
All right. Regina just put in the chat that you weren't hearing that. I'm sorry. If you were able to see that video and hear it properly, can you just type in the chat and let me know? Tamara said yes. Anyone else? Were you seeing the video as well, Andrea? Fane said it was choppy. We could see it, but the sound wasn't great. Okay. Well, if you heard it, well, the words were pretty much on the screen. I'm sorry, guys. I embedded the video in here. So maybe I'll try it again before we finish up. So I just want to, we're coming to a close now. Okay, Miss Q said you can understand it. All right, awesome, love that. That's Tracy, I think, Miss Q. Okay, so some of you can see it. I guess maybe it has to do with your bandwidth, but at the end of the day, what I put that video there because I wanted you to understand that that you have to make choices, and the choices that you make ultimately will make your life, right? So you got to make choices, but not just make choices. You've got to back it with action, and so it's important that you understand that there's a difference between making a choice and taking action. And it looks like my action slide is blank. Oh well, but you've got to take action. You've got to not just have ideas in your head, but you've got to execute. That's what matters in life. That's where the results come from. So you got to make choices, and then you've got to take corresponding action. And sometimes the link between us making choices and taking action comes down to having accountability. I guarantee you that if you have someone in your life that you can trust to share where you are financially, that will hold you accountable for you making the difficult choices that you know you need to make, you will make a whole lot more progress, right? When you are your own best counsel, you're limited to your own best thinking, you're going to be in a place where you are stuck. And so I'm encouraging you that if you know that you can't really trust yourself, and by the way, I'm not talking about your little girlfriend that gonna co-sign, girl, let's go shopping. Come on, let's go. No, you need the one that says, you said that you were sticking to a budget. This shopping is not in your budget. Stay your behind in the house. You need to be sheltering. Matter of fact, some of us, those of us that are not impacted with the jobs, we should have a lot more money now because you can't really leave the house too much anyway, right? So you shouldn't be shopping up a whole lot unless you got Amazon one click, in which case you can spend up a bunch of money. The point I'm making is this. I'm not against you spending money. I'm for you reaching your financial goals. And that means that after you go through the thinking of how your past is impacting your current, after you go through the thinking of where you are currently and tracking your spending, after you go through the trouble of writing out the vision and making it plain, now you got to decide, what choices do I need to make that are in alignment with me getting to that vision? And it also means that I have to have an awareness of what my competing commitments are, because we can very much have a vision, but in our life we have competing commitments. Things that when we take a step forward, we're taking 2 steps back that we don't even realize because we've made commitments. So what competing commitments have you made that are stopping your or retarding your progress towards your goals, right? And then finally, the last thing I want to talk to you about today are your habits. Aristotle, years ago, the great philosopher, said that we are what we repeatedly do. Somebody needs to mute themselves. I'm getting some feedback. Whose line is on mute? I need you to mute your line, please. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit, right? And so we've got to pay attention to the habits that we have, because those are the things that keep us from moving forward. John Maxwell said that you never change your life unless you change something that you do every single day. So what changes do you need to make right now? Operating from this higher level of awareness, right? Remember, it's all about awareness, because you cannot change your life until you change your thinking. You cannot change your results until you change your thinking. So in order for that to happen, you've got to make some changes to something that you're doing on a daily basis. And so here's why this is important. The American Journal of Psychology defines a habit from the standpoint of psychology as a more or less fixed way of thinking, willing, or feeling acquired through previous repetition of mental experience. Previous repetition of a mental experience. And a habit is a routine of behavior that is repeated regularly and tends to occur subconsciously. So when we understand that hold on a second. Kendra, if you're on the line, can you look to see whose line is not muted and mute down that line, please? Okay, so a habit is a routine of behavior that is repeated regularly and tends to occur subconsciously. So these are things that we're doing that are operating in the background of our mind. And if we want to get better results, we have to become aware of the habits that are not serving us. All of us have habits and things that we do that are not serving us. And so we need to make sure that we recognize what those things are so that we can begin to break those habits. So, you know, Carl Jung says that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. That comes down to our habits, right? So remember, you are what you do, not what you say you will do. So let's talk about really quickly some wealth building habits before we close out today, because I'm landing the plane now. So ultimately, here are some habits that you want to build. You want to build a habit of savings, or more popularly known as pay yourself first. You want to develop a habit of spending less money than you make. You want to make a habit of prioritizing money management, of not being afraid to invest your money, of understanding good debt versus bad debt. You really want to make a habit out of creating multiple streams of income. And of course, you got to make giving a habit, because the Bible says that there is one who sows sparingly and reaps sparingly, and the one who gives liberally and increases all the more. As you sow, so shall you reap. So give and it shall be given to you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over. How many more scriptures you want me to quote? Listen, for God so loved the world that he gave. As believers, we need to understand that the flow always begins with God giving, right? That we talked about last week, giving, receiving, and managing. So if you want to create a flow in your life, you must be a giver. And then the other thing is that you've got to read. You listen, if you're tired of being where you are and you're not buying any kind of book about finances, you're not reading on your own, you're not trying to learn about what wealthy people do, you're not reading about investment, how are you going to put new thinking in your mind to create new results? You've got to develop yourself, which means you have to consistently read books. Set goals and plans, set goals, create plans, and work towards achieving them. And then the other thing, really important, is surround yourself with successful people. Surround yourself with like-minded people. Surround yourself with people who are ahead of you. If you're the smartest one in your little circle, let me tell you, it's time to find a new circle. I surround myself with people that intimidate me on some level. It's the only way that I go. I surround myself with people that are not afraid to challenge me. I surround myself with people that don't have me in such high esteem that they can't speak truth into my life. How about you? You got some truth tellers in your life? I think it's really, really, really important that you surround yourself with successful people. Go seek them out. Offer to take them to lunch. If you're going to blow some money on eating out, blow some money eating out, meeting with someone that's ahead of you somewhere in your life so you can learn from them what they do, right? Those are some habits that are consistent around people who accumulate wealth, particularly the one about multiple streams of income, because it's going to be very hard for you to generate wealth if all you have is just a single paycheck coming in. So looking for ways to generate additional income, really important for you. Habits to avoid or to break, consumerism, habitually borrowing, incessant use of credit. You absolutely want to avoid those things in this idea of building wealth and developing a wealth mindset. You will find that it is consistent truth among people who are self-made millionaires in one generation that they resist and avoid consumerism. They're not trying to display their wealth, so you can't look at them and tell that they have money because they're not carrying a Louis Vuitton bag, they're not wearing St. John's, they're not wearing stuff that's name brand, right? The Millionaire Next Door is a fantastic book to read to really help you break the myths around what people with money have and do. People with money try to keep their money. They are consistent budgeters. They're really sort of dogmatic about budgeting their money, about knowing where their money is going, right? So these are some things that you can begin to do to build and generate wealth. So with that, that is all I've got for y'all today. The goal for you is to shift your mindset, change your thinking, raise your level of awareness so that you don't get the same old results, but that you actually start to get some new results. All right, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And now let's talk. All right, so that's my lesson for today. It blessed me. I hope it blessed you. I hope it did bless you. So if you have a question, have a comment, want to talk to me, now's your time.
Hey, Damien, this is Tamara. How are you?
Hi, Tamara. Good to see you.
Good. I didn't even know this was going on. I just saw some emails going back and forth. So I just really missed the Kingdom Finance class and just going to church. And I guess you don't really realize how much you've missed something until you really can't go or, be around the people that you want to be around. And I just really enjoyed this class. On Friday, I did a mastermind with some people, actually 7 other nurses.
Mm-hmm.
And we did they did the same exercise that we did at church, where we did our vision board picture frame. And, it has the words and everything, and just basically just looking at it, I have it in my office, and I look at it, basically every day. And then and some days I just really go into detail, and I was just telling God, where I want him to be with my business and with this coronavirus going around. I have no fear. And then some of those words that was coming out was thrive.
Number one,
Business is going to be thriving, and you're going to be doing this. And so I basically just embedded those words into my spirit, and I know that God has me, and definitely you have to have a vision at this time. And another one of my girlfriends said, money has a destination, so you have to tell it where it needs to go. And definitely having those different multiple streams of income. So I miss you guys, and I really enjoyed this class.
Well, we enjoy having you too. And listen, you know that if you can, your opportunity to come is coming. So if you want to take a lesson one of these weeks while we're still sheltering in place, I would love to have you.
Okay. It would be something from the book that you had us reading. Was it the 12?
12-week year.
The 12-week year. Yeah. Yes.
That book was so good to me. I mean,
Yes.
whatever you think that would add value, would love to have you. So give it some thought. Let me know when you want to jump in.
Okay, I will.
Okay. Anyone else want to share a thought? Did the lesson speak to you at all? Can I get some feedback? Can we act like we in class? I mean, talk.
Hi, Minister Damon.
Hey, Fonny.
Hi. I just wanted to piggyback what Tamara said too. I really enjoyed the class, and I miss Financial Sunday School so much. And I'm just so glad you're doing this online. I could be a part of it. It was really good. And I'm so thankful for Tamara too, because she's like a mentor. That's why I kind of sent her the email late. But I'm trying to forward this class to everyone that I know, because it's so helpful, and I think so many people need to hear this. So, and I also have my mom. My mom is on the line too, but she's not knowing how to do Zoom, so she's sending me stuff privately instead of to the group chat. So she's learning a lot too, and she's very in tune, and she's very appreciative of the information. I'm not sure if she's able to talk, because I know she was having trouble last week with, operating Zoom. So I'm trying to share with as many people as I can.
Well, thank you, Fonny. I'm so glad. I miss you too, and truth be told, you're supposed to be up here